We've already found out that the amount of money that we were paying into the European Union is probably going to pale into insignificance when we have to open up new areas of the civil service just to do the work that was done by the European Union. And by the time they've all got their pensions paid and everything else, there's going to be very little left.
James, there's one thing for sure. It'll be done a lot cheaper.
I don't think so.
Because it's just a bureaucratic nightmare across there.
Yeah.
And anybody's got a job, it's on less than 100,000, must be the sweeper or the cleaner up.
Uh-huh. Well, then, listen, that's the place to go, Ronnie. I'm surprised you didn't try and get yourself in.
I'm sure that the civil servants would all agree with you, because that's the next step for civil servants. The European Union, or Brussels, or...
Yeah. So why? Listen, I'm sorry, it's a bit of a busted flush, as they say, talking about this. It's not going to save us money. The economists have looked at the whole thing. We are going to be a lot worse off, and the North East is going to be more worse off than a lot of other places if we leave the European Union.
Okay, and if we're going to be worse off, we're all going to be poverty-stricken. We'll have to stay in the Union and pay the money.
So you'd be quite happy to vote to stay in?
I won't. No, I won't. Well, a lot of people will, like yourself.
Well, no, I voted to remain in the first place because I'm very intelligent and I realise it's a complete...
I don't want nothing to do with an organisation, an undemocratic organisation, a bureaucratic organisation. I hear a lot on the telly and the radio about the administrators and the managers in the health service. By God, you want to get across there and see them across there.
Well, listen,
there are millions of them.
Well, there are lots of people, but then you go into any of the civil service departments in this country, you will see the same thing. Yeah. But look, Ronnie,
you say... the ones that's written the report, James.
Yeah. Ronnie, you aren't going to get less civil servants in this country. You're going to get more at this rate. Look, why do you think it's undemocratic?
Yeah, well, because you select... Yeah. It's like the House of Lords. They're put there by privilege. Juncker and all these commissioners.
He's right about that. I think he's right.
He's not right about that.
All of what to do.
No, the thing is that what happens is that we elect the MEP. And let's face it, I don't even know the name of my local MEPs.
Exactly. That's also undemocratic, isn't it?
No, well, that's our fault. That's my fault.
They like it like that. They like you not knowing.
Shut up. Will you
smoke and mirrors?
You might learn. The problem is, of course, that these people are elected. The people you say are not democratic, they're elected by the democratically elected MEPs. So it is democratic.
The MEPs have got as much power as sand on the beach.
Well, they give... I'm going around in circles here. Listen, if we don't like the way the European Union is structured, we, the fifth biggest economy in the world, should have done more about it instead of sticking around. And I'm sorry, Ronnie.
I couldn't agree with you more. But what Neil Kinnock do when he had the opportunity to do it?
Fell on the beach.
And Manson, nothing.
You see, I agree. But the fact is that we should have been controlling the way the European Union went. And what we did, not you, Ronnie, because, obviously you're a good bloke. But a lot of MPs used the European Union to blame when they didn't want to do something or when they got something wrong.
That's why they like it so much. That's why they don't want to get rid of it.
Then they would say, well, it's not our fault. Of course, that's the European Union's doing that.
Also, it's an undemocratic job for when they get kicked out of their proper democratic job as an MP. They can become an MEP.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. They go there, the Lords. I think go to both places, some of them,
But anyway, listen, this isn't helping the people of the northeast of England or anywhere else for that matter.
And we haven't been helped for a long time.
Well, I don't know. I started my career in the northeast.
James, you look at some of them. We're bottom the league in nearly everything. We're still trying to get the A1, Jules.
You're still in the prep.
Well, yeah. All right.
Jules.
Yeah, I agree with you. But when I worked on Metro Radio in the 70s, when it first started, there was a lot of hope in the northeast. There was a lot of regeneration with money coming from the European Union. The whole of the Metro Centre, that was funded a lot by European money. And
I think the churches had a lot of money in there as well, mate.
Well, don't start me on that. But I always thought, and I went to the northeast for 3 months and stayed for 10 years. And I'm always telling people, listen, you go to the northeast of England, you go to Blyth. I spent many an interesting day in Blyth. Go along the Tyne Valley, go into Northumberland, go right up to Alnwick, go to Sea Houses, go along the borders. It's a fabulous place.
Yeah. It is. It's a beautiful place.
And there aren't enough of you up there selling it to the rest of the country because a lot of people in the northeast don't want anyone else in there. So you need to get out and sell it because it's a great place to go for a weekend, for a holiday.
It's so far, isn't it, though? It's so far.
Shut up.
Like 200
it's not
miles,
far at all.
So far.
Yeah, well, we are trying to encourage people to come up to Northumberland, yeah.
It's lovely, yeah.
Have you ever been to Lindisfarne?
No, I've not been. Oh, no, I've been to Eldon Square.
Oh, for goodness sake.
Yeah, and I've been...
I'm sorry about my friend Ronnie.
I've been to Gateshead. I've been to...
What do you think, Ronnie? You're a Labour Member of Parliament. Labour's views on Brexit are a bit wishy-washy at the moment. Nobody really knows. Jeremy Corbyn wants one thing. Chuka Umunna wants something completely different, and the electorate's left in the middle, mate.
I think we're in the same boat as the Tories.
I think so. I think you are. I think politics is becoming a little silly in this country at the moment,
James,
isn't it?
if you look at my voting record over 30 years in Parliament, you see I've voted against all the treaties on Europe.
Yeah. Well, but lots
consistency.
Lots of people didn't, and lots of people should have done more, I think, to control the way the European Union went.
James, we did have a referendum in this country, and I get a little bit fed up when people, ignore that referendum. That's what a referendum was for, and that's what we got. Unfortunately for the Remainers, it was a no-no, and they're just ignoring the people.
It's not the people, Ronnie. It isn't the people. 17 million people voted to leave the European Union. Okay, there were a lot more that voted against or didn't vote. Now, I know you'll say, that's the way...
If you don't vote, heavens alive, if you don't vote, you kind of say, well, I didn't vote, but
I agree, but I think you will find that when we were told there's a referendum, Europe in or out, nobody was given any kind of facts about what it would be like. Both sides lied.
The government, David Cameron's government, £90 million he paid for a leaflet at everybody's door.
Yeah, I know.
£90 million, and I got one with all the facts on. Well, they're facts anyway.
Yeah, I think David Cameron should be brought back to London and made to bow before the people of this country.
Yeah, that was naughty sending a leaflet out, wasn't it, in a referendum?
It cost you a lot of money.
But it cost you as well. But it guaranteed to annoy people. So I speak to people every day who say, oh, my gosh, what have I done? I voted to leave Europe. I didn't really realise what was going to happen. We need to have a proper referendum after we know what the deal is.
Okay, James, that means that I can demand a referendum after that.
No, it doesn't mean that at all.
No, it does, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't.
And then you can demand another one.
No, but I can't have another one.
Well, and then we'll just be going round in circles.
Then this,
it's only the Remainers that can have a second referendum, not the people who voted in the first place, just the Remainers.
Well,
the Leavers.
I'm sorry, but I think you will find the vast majority of people in this country would like to have a proper discussion as we are now, and then because nobody knew what they were voting for, Ronnie.
I think they had a good idea. They were voting to leave that bureaucratic nightmare called Brussels and Strasbourg.
No, I don't think they were, and it is no more bureaucratic than that bureaucratic nightmare called Westminster. It's just that it's 27 times bigger because there are 27 countries there. And, nobody is going to vote to make this country poorer and worse. And if the proof is that this country is going to be...
the civil servants have drawn up this, whatever it is...
You don't trust civil servants, Ronnie.
You trust civil servants? I wouldn't trust them as far as I can throw them.
Well, most of us don't trust politicians for the same reason, Ronnie.
Fine. So we're right in the middle. Why have a referendum if you're going to take no notice of it?
Well, you've got to have a discussion, and nobody voted to make this country worse than it is.
During the referendum, there was quite a few discussions went on. I remember the emergency budget that Osborne was going to dish out to her.
Yeah. Because it might.
That was all lies, like everything on the other side. Of course, the 300 million.
Yeah, lies on both sides.
You know, they were all discussions that people looked at that, and people had to make their minds up. There was lies on both sides, so let's be honest, lies on both sides.
So what we need is a proper democratic discussion.
What's a proper referendum?
Yeah.
A second one, because we got beat.
All right, okay.
That's
All right,
your proper referendum.
okay.
That's your proper referendum.
Ronnie,
we got beat the first time, I want another one.
All right, Ronnie, it's okay. We'll accept it, Ronnie. The Northeast can go down the toilet. You can all be really poor and not have any infrastructure.
Load of bunkums.
Well, that's what's going to happen, isn't it, Ronnie? Because it looks as if the economy of the Northeast is going to go through the floor. The people of the Northeast, lovely people, hard-working people, are being represented by you, and you are not representing them properly.
The bunch of civil servants.
I said that last night. I mean, you know, they might not be. They're fiddling the figures like, you know, Rees-Mogg said.
Stop that?
No, but I said that last night.
You've got no
this is what happens when you make a point. They all gang up on you.
No, please. Stop that, because you have no proof. I would like to apologise for my hairy friend sitting in the corner. He doesn't know what he's speaking about.
Well,
you get a civil servant suing you if you're not careful. Now, listen, Ronnie, I respect the fact that you are a democratically elected representative of the people of Blythe Valley. And if you went to the people of Blythe Valley and said, listen, I don't like the European Union, they're a bunch of undemocratic wazzocks, then, and that's why we're leaving. By the way, you're all going to be a lot poorer in the future, but don't worry about that.
Who says that?
Well, that's what's going to happen.
No, who says it?
Well, that's what the economists, that's what the business owners, that's
civil
what the
servants, economists.
No, not just the civil servants. The civil servants drop the plans.
I've seen reports where we'll do well in the world trade.
Where?
Oh, any amount of them.
There was one a couple of months ago, wasn't there?
I've got one or two in the back end. I'll go and get them for you.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of books as well.
Yeah, okay. And where is the Northeast going to flourish in all of this? I mean, there may be some bits down south that'll do well, but where's the Northeast going to flourish?
We're not going to flourish in the European Union. We never have.
Fishing? Did I do fishing there?
Oh, shush.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, but you're not going to do any more fishing either.
That's been wiped out by the European Union as well.
Well, it's not going to change. I can assure you, it's not going to come back. But there aren't going to be subsidies for the farmers like they were getting now. And some of those farmers, particularly in the higher ground in the Northeast, rely a lot on subsidies from Europe.
The
do.
sheep farmers do, yes.
Yeah.
I would go along with that, yes.
I agree on something.
Yeah, no, that's good, Roger. That's good. Yeah.
When that money dries up, we have to look at that.
Yeah. All I want, Ronnie, is when we all know the facts. I mean, I've interviewed people.
It all depends what the facts are and who they're coming from.
I've interviewed people.
I'm not going to listen to a bunch of civil servants. I'll tell you that now.
Well, you have to, Ronnie, because they're there.
I won't.
Well, you have to, Ronnie. You're an MP.
He refuses to.
The civil servants are not elected. I'm elected.
Yeah, but they are the ones.
Civil servant what to do.
Yeah, but they're the ones that do the business for you. You've got civil servants that you go and talk to and instruct.
Civil servants who want to stay in Europe.
Yeah, well, they might be right, Ronnie. They might know more about it than you.
So they get the big important job.
They shouldn't have a view, though, should they?
Well, everybody has a...
They're just there to do what the politicians...
Yeah.
Well, okay, let's leave the country to the civil service and let them run it.
Well, that's what's going to probably happen.